Why is it almost impossible to reach Canadian buyers? If you're not born in Canada, but you're now doing business in Canada, you're in the right place. Click here the subscribe button, set up the alert. If the content of this video specifically was useful for you, let us know by clicking the like button. So this is a situation we see a lot, right? And I hear from immigrant business people in Canada. Canadian buyers, they don't answer my calls and they don't respond to my emails. So let's see what's the anatomy of the situation here. When people tell me that, I say, okay, how did you get the names? Well, typically these names were obtained with some type of preliminary work. You got those lists of names from somewhere, and you assume that those people will be interested in talking to you because you do have a track record back home in your country of origin that shows that the offer that you have, the product or service you're trying to sell in Canada, does offer great value. And let me assume here that you're even targeting the same type of company that you already created good results for back home. Same sector, you're solving the same type of problem, same type of company, similar size. So if there is all that similarity and you are reaching out to a buyer and sending some information to them and they're not even responding to you, so what's going on? There's still no connection, or maybe there's a very short, polite, but very distant answer that says, okay, yeah, thank you, but we're not interested, don't contact us anymore, followed by silence, or even if there is some engagement, there is silence that goes after that. So what's going on, right? Why Canadian buyers don't answer and don't respond to these emails, right? And this is when people describe this situation to me, it typically comes with this type of conclusion. They say, well, Canadians are not open to personal contact, or we need to find someone with better connections. We need to find somebody from inside. This is because we're an outsider. And let me tell you something. Our experience here of like 25 years in Canada is that this is not the correct conclusion. It's not a matter that Canadians are not open to personal contacts. Yes, they are very open. And also just finding the right rainmaker, the right person to make the connections, typically also doesn't solve the problem. What is the situation here? What are we looking at and what we can do about it? Well, click here on the link of the description. We have our platform called Your Business in Canada. And what we do there is that we work side by side with you in your journey to build success in Canada, and you're going to be doing that as part of a group of other immigrant business people who are doing business in Canada and building the success as well. So how do we address this problem here that Canadian buyers don't return your calls, don't respond to your emails? Why is it nearly impossible to reach them? Let's look at what is really going on here and how you can fix it. Well, one thing that a lot of people forget is that there may be even compliance reasons. Let me give you a very specific example. Like, for example, if you're trying to sell anything to Canadian healthcare, to a hospital, they are not allowed by their rules and regulations of their employment to talk to any supplier. They cannot have any personal contact. And if they do have a personal contact, then your company will be excluded from any potential possibility of selling to that hospital. They do this because appearance is important. Nobody wants to have the appearance of a conflict, somebody who knew somebody, and like undue advantages. Canadians are very careful about any perception of influence and corruption or something like that. So this is the first question you should ask. Like, you should try to understand what are the constraints around the work of that buyer that you're trying to reach. Are they even allowed to talk to somebody like you? Maybe they are not. And also, one thing we see that's very common when a company is coming to Canada is that there's that typical feeling like, oh, we have something very unique. We've been looking at this environment, they don't have this thing that I'm selling, and we can meet this need in the market. Well, remember, Canada is a country of immigrants. These are typically very smart immigrants, professional, well-educated, with a good career background in their country of origin, and naturally, they all spot some things that Canada could be a market for, and through their own personal networks and their time in Canada, they're always trying to position some product and some service, some solution here in Canada. So there's a lot of people, there's a saturation of the message of, oh, we are coming from XYZ country and we have this solution for you. That's great. Oh my God, this is the fourth guy this week that's telling you the same thing. So be careful with the saturation of a message. So what's actually happening in this situation where you are trying to reach somebody, they don't get back to you, is that very likely you're not seeing some invisible channels here. Like there is probably a lack of preliminary knowledge about how these people buy. Because this is a few different ways that I realize that Canadians will buy. There are places that they will only buy through a portal, a bidding portal. And every time they want to buy something, they place that thing in the portal, they issue a request for proposal or a request for information, and it's by responding to these that you will get into the process. It's not about trying to connect with somebody so that then when the portal goes up, they let you know. Through the bidding portals or through other types of portals is where you need to start to make yourself known, and people may start to, and you need to present the information in a way that's compelling to the person who's on the other side of the portal. There's these people in the market offering their services and their products, and there's people on the other side doing the screening. Like, we need to understand how people on the other side are screening and filtering all these people that are applying, right? But first, then there's not a one-on-one connection. There's nobody to have a coffee with or have dinner or have lunch, because all the interaction happens electronically. Second way that these sales may be happening are through trade shows and through events. There are some places where people attend events during the year, and they commit. It's typically like something to do with fashion or furniture or even food. People see what are the new things that are coming to the market, and instead of talking to salespeople all year round, I go to one event a year and I see everything that's new, and then I make my commitment to buy things for that year. So if you want to sell in that market, you need to join that event. You need to have a booth in that event in the year. So it's important to understand what's the process, how people decide to buy things that you sell, right? Maybe it's an online portal, maybe it's a trade show, and maybe the buyers don't like to talk to several people. They prefer to consolidate their relationships with fewer people, like brokers or buying groups or distributors, right? So trying to reach out directly to them, they're not going to talk to you. That's where you get to that situation where you have to do a double sale. You have to sell first to that intermediary, right, to the broker or to the distributor or to the buying group, why you're going to be a good option, and then in turn they're going to offer that to the final client, right? Or if it's a software, it's typically what people call an integrator, right? So, and how do you achieve all that, right? Remember, we have videos here and we talk a lot about that in our platform, but it's the concept of informational interviews. This is how you use informational interview. One, you learn, you incorporate the feedback, then you adapt your message, your materials, and your approach. Listen first, incorporate what you're listening, and then turn that into actionable things like message, materials, and the approach. And sometimes, to be honest, it's just a matter of timing. They're not getting back to you. They're even interested. They think it's the right thing, but they're in the middle of something now, like if you catch them in the middle of their summer vacations, they want to look at it only in September, or they're busy now, or it's the fiscal year end of the company, or they have a new boss, or somebody just quit in the team, they're covering for our colleagues. Like sometimes it's just the timing is not right, although people are interested. So that's why it's very important for you to not disappear. Don't contact somebody and then they didn't get back to you. Okay, I guess they're not interested, let me move on. Well, keep a routine of contact so people remember who you are. And of course, always giving them the ability to unsubscribe and not hear from you again. Your intention is not to bother anybody and to be trying to talk to them forcefully, of course, right? But give them the option. Okay, sorry if it's not the right time, I'll connect with you again in a few months. And by all means, please, if you don't want to hear from me, just let me know. I won't bother you anymore. Most people will say, okay, send me the information again. If you're not doing that aggressively too frequently, people are okay. So, and again, of course, for that, it's highly advisable to use a CRM, right? A system, a customer relationship management software. There are 2 other videos here that are very useful in this concept for you as well. Okay, good luck.